All right, welcome everybody. We're back here for another episode of PCH Pit.
Are we recording? I want to make sure. Yes. Are we recording for this
episode? double check.
Yes, we are recording.
Indeed. All right.
Good this time.
You'll notice we have a special guest here this week for Christopher Wilson. If anybody remembers any past season shows, you may remember a mystery episode that never made air. But we're lucky to have him back and recording this time. But again, we're back for another episode. We're talking about a review for our Carrollton event. We're talking about some preview for our Albany event and getting into some other fun content along the way. But before we do so, we're going to have a usual disclaimer that any views or opinions shared on this show are solely that of the individual contributor and do not reflect the views of PCH Pit, any FRC team, First, Georgia First, or any of their affiliates and sponsors. So, the idea behind this show is to serve as an FRC talk show that focuses primarily on the Peachtree District. We're going to be talking about a variety of topics, so don't be surprised if you see us drop some hot takes. Ultimately, we're hoping to provide some entertaining and engaging discussion. So, we'll start with introductions. Anupam, if you want to start.
Hey, I'm Anupam. I am Team 1746 Team Auto's head coach.
All right, I'm Kellen, mentor for 1746 Auto.
I'm Thomas, mentor for 1746 Auto.
I'm Kyle, mentor for 1746 Auto and Georgia First MC.
Broken record here.
Yeah, I
know. I'm Christopher, and I am the mentor for 1771.
I'm Brian Carlson. I'm a mentor for 6829 Ignite Robotics.
Well, glad to have everybody back for another episode. We've had the pleasure of having guests on our show that you may have noticed have been from the winning alliances of the previous event that I just finished up yesterday. So fresh off the event win, we have Christopher Wilson back in the shop. But Chris, if we're going to jump straight into discussion on Carrollton, what was your how did the event play out in your mind? How did you enjoy the event?
It was pretty good. It was a lot smoother getting started since being the second event for the team, and I think I noticed a lot of other teams noticed that as well. Everybody seemed to be the second event, getting into it, starting off stronger. Qual matches certainly were a different level from the beginning of Dalton.
Yeah.
So with this event, I want to start from where you started at the beginning of the season. You came out hot with a 6-ball auto. You made your presence known with Dalton being #1 seed and being able to get through the qualifications with only one loss, if I remember correctly. So the question is, with Carrollton, do you feel the same way that you did at Dalton, that you knew that without a doubt that you were coming out as the most powerful robot out of this district?
I mean, we hoped. We didn't know anything, but with the the changes they made with changes to the turret and some of the programming for how we tracked the goal, we were fairly confident that we would be able to perform from match 1.
Can I back up a second away from the matches and stuff? Let's talk about how this was the first event that was hosted at Carrollton. Mm-hmm. I know in 2020 we were all hyped up for Carrollton being the gauntlet. This year it was a very top-heavy event, but as a venue, how was it?
I really liked the venue.
It was, I had the joy of hanging out there a bunch Friday. It was a really fun venue.
Everyone, Thomas was probably there for it. We were talking, everybody loved the venue, but if you didn't have T-Mobile, you didn't have service.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, service. And the closest McDonald's was like 7 miles away.
So all of us with T-Mobile had to donate our phones to the Scouts.
Okay, here's the thing, right? Here's my other question. Was there a cookout?
No, I don't think so.
There was, because we ate at cookout.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right,
I exposed several members of our team to cookout for the first time.
All right, we're good for next year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Brian,
so did any other teams have problems with scouting because of that?
I don't know. I don't do much on the scouting side. Like, I don't spend much time in the stands. If I'm not on the field, I'm generally trying to hide and decompress from the noise.
Because I know at Albany, a lot of times there's a cell coverage issue there. And so we do a lot of paper scouting because I don't trust that we're going to be able to do real time. And I know mechanisms at Dalton are like, well, we just do it on the Google form. I'm like, yeah, but what if there's no cell? And they were there, so I wasn't sure if that.
Well,
impacted somebody else.
we actually utilized both of a paper scouting and a live form. And
Well, you
what
have
they
T-Mobile.
did, yeah, they moved up. Our scouts moved, and I'm sure a lot of the others did doing this. The ring around at the top, outside of the fishbowl area.
Huh?
I think that's where most of the scouts spent their time because of that.
Just being able to see the matches
Yeah.
from the top.
That and there was university had Wi-Fi.
True. No, I really think Carrollton will be a great partner going forward. I think this has been a great process throughout these last couple of years of figuring out who are great district partners, and we've already figured out Albany, Dalton, and now we have Carrollton in the mix as well as obviously Columbus.
If only there was something in the Atlanta area.
Yeah.
Well, from what I've been told, they consider Carrollton to be part of Metro Atlanta area, even though technically it's not.
Metro Atlanta.
It's not Metro Atlanta. It would basically count like the same way Gainesville counts as Metro
Also,
Atlanta.
the address on the Blue Alliance and the events page that I was using, I was going around the University of West Georgia for 20 minutes trying to find the venue. It was the address was put me in the middle of a parking lot.
You said you got the address from the Blue Alliance?
Yeah, the Blue Alliance pulls it from
The
the
university.
data.
No, because I want to make sure if someone else gave it to you, then they were just like, nah, they were just trolling you.
No,
I think I'm really a fan of like the arena style district events. Like Albany has it at the Albany Civic Center, but it has the arena style setup. I guess Carrollton was kind of like a college arena. I think Columbus is like a college arena, and I think having those fishbowl style kind of.
I think it'll also depend on how respectful the teams were. I know they were very, very aware of that. The announcements were like every 5 minutes, do not work on your robot on the floor.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I know we kept ours off the floor because everything, even pits, everything where everybody's working and drilling was right above the playing surface for the basketball court.
And that's usually where the most of our risk is. We've had like definitely some nearby scrapes at events, like when we had
We were one of those at
when we burned a hole
July
through the
Heat.
carpet.
at July Heat, and that was at Dahlonega, and I'm really hoping that we'll still be able to go there later on. But that's kind of the risk, but that's the benefit of being able to have that arena style event where it feels like a sports event. And then especially as we hopefully move more into like beefing up the production and everything else, then it'll feel like a true sports event, not just to us and the students that come in, but even to outside entities that are like, we want to get involved with this program. So that's my hope as we move more to arenas. So what I'm hearing also is like McCamish maybe?
At Tech. Oh.
So when they go to the arenas, the one thing I don't like about arenas is, especially like Albany, you watch at one side and the pits to the other side. It's very hard to get from watching a match and you see someone going wrong through a robot and you need to get down there fast. Where at Dalton, it was very easy to get there. So if you open up the right walkways and make that easier, that'll be better for me.
That was something
but,
at Carrollton. They had a really easy walkway to
They
get.
did.
It was you
They
just
did
go
have a-
off the corner of the stands. It was weird. They had an entire section of the stands that was behind I think it was the Blue Alliance wall.
Right.
All of those were like, you do not sit there. I don't know why
I think that was actually, I was actually talking to somebody, I think it was actually because they didn't have enough volunteers, because that's why they had the right side of the field blocked off. They didn't have the volunteers to maintain the safety glasses checkpoints.
Hold on. We got
a lighting issue
We got
here.
the
We
lighting
got to get
issue.
some movement in the shot. But
Yeah.
all right, keeping the
Right.
conversation flowing. Let's talk a little bit about quals at Carrollton. What were the back down 12 matches this week from Columbus's 15. But what were your sense of the standings as they progressed through quals, experiences through quals match? Any struggles along the way?
We went into the event pretty prepared, which is not normal for 1771. So it was, both Dalton and Carrollton were unexpectedly smooth. It was not characteristic for the team, but that's the prep work that was put into this was different from years past, and it really paid off what the kids put into it.
That's where I noticed. I've been keeping an eye as we go through our shows here. Is for ranking points, kind of ramping up through our events in PCH here. It'll be interesting to see where they go for Albany this upcoming weekend. But I think even with a quals loss, you had more RP at Carrollton than you did at Dalton, even with a loss.
I think we got a little bit of ahead of ourselves. The kids noticed that we were pushing the boundary of making it into the top 10 on the StatBotics rankings, and so the first 3 matches, I think that played into some of the match strategy decisions on balling versus climbing, and we may have made it or missed some of our climbs because of that, and we had to have a reevaluation. Like, yes, stats are nice, but we need these RP.
Yeah, I think I saw that in some matches. Is that you had won the match by a mile, you already had the cargo RP, and with 20 seconds left, you're still shooting. I'm like, what are you guys doing? This is a ranking game. And you're not climbing it. What are you doing?
And what they're looking after the match. They're like, but we're only so many points behind 254.
But I did think it was interesting. When we were talking about the rankings, I think it was honestly, it was a duplicate, at least obviously for the first 2 rankings, number 1 and 2. But then the rest of the rankings made it a little bit interesting. You guys competed against 2974 at Dalton before. You also had the experience with 6705, and then it was interesting that in this version, obviously before, 2974 was 6, then they moved all the way up to 4. 6705 moving down from their 3rd position at Dalton to 6. So you definitely saw that second event bump there. But I think it was definitely, for this event, it was really a honest view of like, all right, what is it going to look like for the number 1 and number 2 seeds? Because realistically, 1771 and 8736, they could combine again like they did before, or you could see from even the previous event, 4188 being fresh off their win in Columbus, being able to possibly partner up with either 1771 or 8736 and making it interesting. But I like how you guys jumped back and was like, if it worked once, it's not broken. Let's go ahead and run it back for a second.
And watching the matches that I watched, 4188, they'd have matches where they looked lights out, and then they'd have matches where they just looked off. I know Brandon had said last week they were having issues with one of their swerve modules not working, but there were just some matches where it was a lot like how Otto at Dalton, where one match they'd be, oh my gosh, and then the next match they'd be, oh no. So I'm very curious to see what's going on there. I also think a lot of teams are climbing. I think crazy stat of the day, I'm pretty sure in one of their matches, 1648 started climbing with like 80 seconds left in the match or something crazy like that.
But 1648 also, the way that their climb worked, they also sped up during the day, so it didn't really
they got a lot faster, but something I'm concerned about is, especially at states, if you're leaving to climb, the value of the climb drops the earlier you leave to do it, because teams have more and more time to score.
That's partially why, on both sides of it, they were also looking at the stats, but also, Sonnet, our driver, she was pushing herself to see what she could do, because in the quals match where we at Dalton, where it was really close, the eliminations match, playing y'all, where we won by 2 points, we went to climb at 30 seconds, and we sit there hanging for about 18 seconds on the bar, and watching that match footage,
the plus minus is
So the decision was made, let quals is a place to learn this. Losing an RP is a lot less than losing a match in
a pivotal
situation.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I can imagine that being a reaction to your first quarterfinals match, or first semifinal match where you lost for face planting.
Yes.
Just to, all right, we're going to react, we're going to go climb way early. And so, imagine it's really hard in the trenches right there to make a well-informed decision. But good on you for...
So is this at the point of the show where we admit that we were wrong about how many robots we're going to go for traversal here in the
For the record, I was the one who said that I guessed the highest.
No. You guessed the highest, but sarcastically.
You
didn't believe in the district.
You said 0 teams should.
Exactly. You get nothing.
Hold on. I'll ask you this. You're satisfied with a high climb, right?
Yeah.
Teams that are shooting are just giving you a high climb because it's more worthwhile to stay out there shooting and not take the time to do 2 traversals, just do 1.
Yeah.
So, other than the teams that designed around traversal, nobody's trying to get there now for the most part.
I think you got to make sure that your bot is capable of that throughput, where it's like weighing the risks of if your traversal climb is quick enough, you can still do it, right? Because being out on the carpet is not going to get you more points in 5 seconds than being able to go from high to traversal in 5 seconds.
The issue is in timing. A lot of teams can go like mid to high really, really fast.
Right.
The issue is I've seen teams that get to mid to high 5 seconds, and then it's the 20 seconds to get high to traversal.
One of the things I've been talking about to the kids on our team is they're like, we can do this, we should be able to do this. And I explain to them, there's a huge difference in you're doing a static to a dynamic motion.
Right.
From mid to high, basically. Most people don't swing going up to mid. Static to dynamic transition is one thing. Dynamic to dynamic, that is a whole nother ballgame.
You have to basically stabilize yourself.
People don't realize what's involved in that. That's a huge...
And that's where those top teams in the world have the sensors built in to know exactly where that momentum's at and catching on just at the perfect time.
That and most of the top teams, 1690, 2254, I'm pretty sure 1670, they just skip high bar.
They do. They go
just go mid to traversal.
But I will also say it also depends on design as well. Like if you look at a 6705 Wildcat 5e, their design itself, it helps to have that momentum there, and within their design they can swing themselves up, so it's a little bit easier to be able to handle that dynamic to dynamic versus other teams. I will say though, it does come at a very large risk as well, because if you're going from dynamic to dynamic, that's where a lot more of the failures that we saw happen within, a lot more traversal climbs happening within Columbus event, and then going to Carrollton event. Like, it's usually within that climb itself trying to get those other points. And then we've kind of figured after qualifications, the traversal, nice to have, but it's also not going to, how much is it going to really help us in the end?
I don't even think you need a traversal in quals for that ranking point, since you need a team to climb anyways. And I don't think there's any teams that are consistently going for the low bar. Teams that are climbing are going for the mid bar.
That's our whole strategy here.
It's like you don't need that traversal to get the ranking point. A mid bar and a high bar gets it. Like, that's where I stand by that 0 teams needed or should have gone.
So, along that line, at Dalton, the number 8 ranked team had 18 ranking points. At Carrollton, it was 27.
Wow.
People are climbing, and they're going to that mid. They're going to the mid, and if they can, high.
Mm-hmm. So I think you brought this up, but is then climbing, since it's become such a commodity now, does that decrease the value of climbing since there's so many climbers out there? Does that increase the value?
There's definitely been climber inflation.
I will say this. At Dalton, 6705 ranked 2.
They ranked 3.
Three.
At Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 6 or 7 at Carrollton.
Yeah, they went to 6.
Everybody else is getting those RPs too. They don't need that traverse climb to do it. So they're giving up a little bit of that game.
That and the traversal climb is becoming less and less of the trump card that it would be in quals at Dalton to win a match.
Yeah.
So then the question was the traversal? So we talked about this actually in our first episode, that the traversal is a trap because of the large challenge. Now I think it's become a trap because now it's such a large market of climbers basically, and traversal doesn't help as much unless you're getting that.
So are you saying we were right saying 0 or 1 team should have
No, that's not true. No, because here's the thing, right? The goal at the you were not. No. Exactly.
Right in the wrong way.
Because at the end of the day, right, the goal is to build out a robot that's going to be able to compete at the world stage, right? Even though here at
I think you say that, but at Worlds, cargo is going to be infinitely more serious.
No. Cargo is king, right? Yes. Cargo's king, but here's the thing, right? When you get onto the Einstein field, right, cargo is going to matter, but every single point matters. And if you can be a traversal robot where a match can be the breaking point of one point, traversal is going to be a key item.
I think at Worlds Worlds is either going to be defense meta, or it's going to be 3 shooters going around going crazy.
You're talking about Einstein. Here we got a lot of PCH teams fighting to get to Worlds.
They're trying to bring it to state first.
Okay, fine.
Let's look at it this way. If you look at some of the average teams in Georgia versus how they do it versus 1771, there's a big gap. There was a huge gap also between 1771 and the 254s, right?
Sure.
I don't think so.
So-
I think the gap has.
I think
Hold
that
on,
gap is smaller than it appears.
But
Alright.
that's
Are you-
our 1771
So I
resident
agree
mentor
with
here.
I,
saying
I,
that.
but like the
I'm
gap.
going to see you putting up 40 cargo at States.
I can believe it. That's
it
it.
happened.
I will,
I can
40
tell you there's
cargo
room for
happened at
improvement on a robot.
and that's the
All right.
thing. I know that
It's scary, folks. It's scary, and it's.
The gap.
I'm excited to see
the
it.
Gap
I
that
can tell you the
Big Boy
GitHub
James has
pushes
had-
I see at 3 in the morning from our programmer say that there's room for improvement on our robot.
So here's the thing. Let's put this down on the table, at least for now, okay? Because we still do have one more event, and then we have states. So you have all the room to show that you can basically compete. Because it'll basically be a repeat of 2011. Because you made it that far where people knew that PCH could be a place where championship robots could come from, and it's been shown time and time again.
Like Otto in 2019, 2974 in 2019 being a captain on the Air Alliance, same with 1102. 1648 knocking off 971 in 2018. 4910, 2415, and then 4112 making it to Einstein in 2017. Ignite making it to Einstein in 2019. I think the Georgia is no longer the quote unquote slum that it used to
It's-
be.
I still think we're the dark horse team.
Yeah, we're the sleeping giant.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
Nobody
scary
pays
though
attention to
because
us.
we're
Yeah.
used to being the team that like iterates like mad throughout the season. But there's at least like 10 others that I'm very aware of that are actively like, oh well, here's our new climber. Oh, here's our new Auton. Oh, it's the iteration in PCH this season is nuts.
Yeah.
It's exciting and it's scary at the same time because we have to find a way to keep up.
That's
It's easy
how
to forget that this is actually the first full season we've had, or to this length as of so far, without bag.
Yeah.
And it's changing the way
It's
events
huge.
unfold.
It's huge.
It's
Yeah,
amazing, and I
and
love
this,
it.
This is how we build that competitive culture in this district. Is one that no bag change, but continuing to push everyone to iterate and come out with what's better or what's next. How can we beat 1771? Oh, they're already even better now. How do we beat that?
I think there's that, and at the same time, I think there needs to be a bigger influence in the district to focusing on scouting and strategy stuff into alliance selections.
Yeah, making good decisions with the robot you have, and
Yeah.
very important.
I think that's where the district has been lagging behind. I think mechanically and programmatically we are up there. Like our Autons are getting up to the point where it's even to what the big boys are doing. In teleop, we've been close to that for years. I think the issue now is those guys are very, very smart when it comes to their strategy and their scouting decisions.
I really want to see some autonomouses that play with the other alliance's balls. I really do.
Right.
I hope we see. I
Brian,
think we'll see it by
pause.
states.
So now that we're kind of going to this, let's talk a little bit more about going into the elimination round. So alliance selection.
First, brief shout out.
Okay.
Three teams. These are the teams that said gratefully accept an alliance selection. Team 8736, congratulations. Team 832, congratulations. Team 1311, congratulations.
And
there was one other team that said something cool and fun that wasn't gratefully or graciously accept. I forgot to write it down. Congratulations. To the team that said graciously declined. What was going on here? You did what I asked, but in the wrong direction. The rest of you, improve.
So please, this. Look. Help me, help you, help me, help you, help me, help you.
And as a kicker, there may or may not be candy on the line if you say graciously accept at stakes.
No, that's actually the opposite. If you do not say
And
graciously
we cannot
accept
endorse
candy.
gambling.
I'm not endorsing
It's
gambling.
not gambling,
No,
it's just
called
rewards.
bribery. Different crime.
Carrot, you gotta dangle the carrot.
If you say gratefully accepts, you get a reward.
I mean, if we're
from
bribing
Kyle.
people, can I bring a bribe for people that start saying, excuse me, instead of coming up behind you and screaming 6 inches from your ear, robot?
Yeah, listen, we'll have a lot of different.
What kind of reward are we talking about?
Listen, so
Sorry.
How many times do you have to say that to go up on the pick list? I'm just curious.
I don't know.
So, just to recap, that was Kyle and Thomas.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'll die on
Chris
this
did say
hill.
you'll move up in the pick list if you're saying excuse me instead of robot.
Yes.
It
Just on
might
record.
be a factor.
Yeah,
right?
listen. Yeah, no. I'll die on this hill. I'll die on this hill, okay? I'd never want to hear graciously accepts ever again, okay?
Spread
Never.
the word, people. Spread the word.
I don't know if we'll ever want to hear graciously decline either.
Actually,
Like
no,
I
no, no.
said, you did what I asked, but in the wrong direction.
Actually, here's the thing, though. Listen, I love chaos, so that kind of actually, I was like,
No,
what?
it is.
No,
I
that's
think
chaotic.
it's infinitely more rude to say graciously decline than it is
Oh, no.
graciously.
No, it was
accept.
very, no, listen, I totally agree, but also, I love chaos. We all know this.
I
so
do
that
think
was
it was
great.
very funny that Alliance ended up losing to the Alliance that they graciously declined.
I thought it was interesting that they tied and it broke by a tiebreaker.
I thought they
was-
removed the tiebreaker rules. I thought it was you play another match.
Apparently it's only finals. Semifinals and quarterfinals, you can still go to tiebreakers. That's my understanding. I might be wrong.
That's interesting.
And it comes down to fouls and
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, the replay is the last thing in the tiebreaker.
So
And it says for playoffs, not even for finals.
It is even for finals. Somebody
Right.
said finals might
Because-
go to another match before they go to replays, but I'm not sure.
Right.
We'll look that up.
Yeah.
But Chris, any commentary on alliance selections? Obviously, you guys had the driver's seat for being #1 seed. Anything interesting pop up for alliances formed?
Let's talk about you picking 8736, because obviously for all of us that kind of seemed like the obvious choice, but I think you had a bit of a market there between 2974, 4188, and 8736.
especially with 2974 improving
They
from
really did. It was
exactly.
like the main thing was pull the 5 ball off the table.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Once you pull the reliable 5 ball off the
Okay.
table, it changes the way eliminations play out.
Because it basically after auto's your or autonomous
Yeah.
is going to be basically your end all be all whenever it comes to just starting off into gameplay, because then you have that sizable lead.
Yeah.
So
Also, like there wasn't that much differentiating people other than that. Maybe a little bit look at reliability was another thing we were looking at.
Well, yeah, let's stop there before you go into discussing any trade secrets.
Well, let's keep
Well,
going
it's
on.
simple.
Points.
They breaks, you get another piece of plywood on there.
Yeah.
Reliable, and then 30 seconds, you're back on the field.
So, with this, do we want to discuss any teams that had some interesting things happen during this competition specifically?
I think we need to go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, which is the semis 1v3. And I'm going to say this the most eloquently way that I can. If you robots are broken, they should not be on the field, especially if you have time and a match to kill. 1771 went out there and speaking to, I think, 5 mentors, expecting to lose. Just because those robots that did not show the field were broken. I don't understand what else teams would want them to do other than no team show up and just give the 4th seed a free win. If you're angry that 1771 won a 1v3, you should be more angry at the fact that the 4th seed lost the 1v3. So I don't understand why that is a big controversy. It really shouldn't be. Teams miss elims matches all the time to not have to use a timeout. 971 did it with 254 in 2017. And you know it's more common than it is.
Just look at this match, right? You don't see any blue robots within a mile of 1771.
Yeah.
If anything, this was a strategic breakdown. I mean, there's a little bit of defense there, but like the way to beat 1771, especially when they're down a major offensive robot, is to put 2 defense robots on them and try and slow them down, or at the very least one constantly on them.
Right, and I want to put it in two ways, right? I want to echo what Thomas said. I mean, reality is, first is a entertainment product as much as it is an education product. We want to be here for the kids. We want to be able to showcase all these the work that kids have done. But the thing is, it's an entertainment product, right? We're trying to show that this is a great game, not just to all the people that are there, but to kids that want to be involved in the sport. And if I am a kid that's like, I want to see someone dominate the field, 1771 put on a clinic in a semifinals pivotal match. If that is not entertainment, I don't know what is. And so I feel like we should not penalize a team because they have stepped up to the challenge. 1771 stepped up to the challenge even before we went to the first competition and said we want to go for 6-ball auto, first one in the world. They went from there and they said we are going to dominate every single match that we are in. And we cannot penalize them because other teams have not met that bar. And if you are in a 1-3 match in semifinals and you cannot get it in your head to figure out the right strategy to shut down one robot with 3 robots, there is a problem not with the 1 robot, but with the 3 robots.
Well, to give them some credit, I really think they expected to be facing all 3 of us, and I'm not sure what strategy they could have come up with. I don't know what their
Thought
plan
up
was.
on the fly, like, but there's only one of
But
them. What do we do?
when we run to the field with like 30 seconds, I throw a robot on the gates, come down, and they're like, what? I saw the confusion from the other side of the glass.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they tried to throw together a strategy, probably something of like share the defense, because they really needed from a thing their scoring potential of all of them. And I think their idea was to like trade off. And like when they're near you, you hit them, that kind of idea. I think what happened is they just didn't have the time to come up with a cohesive strategy. They had maybe 30 seconds before the match started to talk about their plan.
Mm-hmm. As far as the on the 1771 side, there's no guarantee that those bots are being fixed in match 2, right? So even you play the game the way you're designed to play the game. If they didn't play it that way and they played a little more conservatively because it was 1v3, right? So it doesn't get out of hand. And they happen to lose, and then next match the same thing happens. They now know what to do. In the eliminations, it is very important to win every match, and so I don't fault that at all.
I don't fault that. I'm just like what I don't want, and you know what? I'll do an apology because I can't really blame the three robots on the other alliance. But what my issue is people that are looking from the outside in, right? Realistically there shouldn't be any blame to go around because it's how the game works.
Yeah,
but it doesn't make sense to blame the team that's just playing the game as they built their robot, they built their strategy, and they built the experience to play the game.
Well, it's a full strategic decision by the Alliance to say, all right, we can lose this match, but in any expectation that going in a 1v3, we might lose this match, but for the next match, our robots 2 and 3 are going to be in a much better place than should they play this match, only have a couple minutes to fix the robot between the next match. So it's playing the long game, saying yes, we might lose this match, but we're going to be in a better place for the next match, and it's still winning, putting ourselves in a shot, giving ourselves a shot to win this series.
Giving ourselves a shot to have all the robots on the field performing to their highest level they can.
Right.
So, as a matter of fact, at Grits, we had a mechanical problem going into semifinals, right? So when I saw 87-36 having some potentially problems at the end of that one, I was like, well, call a timeout. I'm like, no, you know what? If you have a bot, especially if it's your first pick, you can't replace it with anything else. You need to get that bot back out there. I'm like, I would go out there without a bot, risk losing it because I need that number 2 bot to get repaired to come back in. Mm-hmm. And so I would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about strategy and putting your alliance in the best spot to win. I can't imagine watching that match and thinking, oh, they must be showboating this match. Like, no. To be fair, and if anything, the performance is just ridiculously impressing to say that 1771 is at that level that they can play this game and win 1v3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a bigger focus on, wow, that was a 1v3, then, oh, they shouldn't have done the 1v3.
That's not-
we're
that's
here to
so
celebrate
rude.
these achievements rather than being like wag the finger. It's like, no, that's amazing.
Well, and if we're complaining about anything, we should be talking about first timeout policy and making sure teams have more time to fix their robots and get on the field to have that entertainment factor we were talking about,
True.
having all 6 robots
the
on the
real
field.
travesty was that they had to make that decision of keeping 2 robots off to get more time to repair because the timeout policy is so broken.
No, that's valid. That's definitely valid. That's definitely valid.
100%.
Yeah.
So
I think honestly, in semis, you have less time in between matches in semis than you do in finals. I don't think it should be a full 5-minute field timeout like it is in finals, but I do believe there should be like a 2.5 minute.
I think it's like a match turnaround times are about 7 minutes. So
Yeah, it does.
You have a
bit of
chunk of time.
We and from the production side and from the backside with the fields and everything else, your first couple matches within the district event run at right about a 10-minute pace, and then once everyone has had their introductions and everything else, and we've kind of gone to the flow, it reduces down to 7, and that's what it stays at basically from after the first match that every single robot has played their first match all the way until the end of finals. It's always 7 minutes.
Interesting tidbit about timing. We are finished this 1v3 match and go to get inspected, and we're told we couldn't be inspected.
That is.
And we're like, I think it was miscommunication. We got the LRI over there and talked to him, but they had packed up the scale. And we had stuff on our robot, and we're like, what do you want us to do?
It's a strange problem to have.
Yeah. So we had extra parts. We showed them, and they looked at it and said, "Okay, that's definitely under the weight. I guess we're gonna. Yeah, you're good. You gave us our sticker, moved on." But like, there was a point where they were like, "I don't know what we do because we can't inspect you."
But I mean, you were able to get through that. You've now won 2 blue banners. So congrats to 1771 and 8736. Great job to you guys. I know that there's one video that you guys want to show before we get into talking a little bit about Albany.
Well, there's a couple of videos.
For the sake of time, I think we should cut it to 1.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to briefly mention the one, okay, can we do 2? I'll just do clips of one and the other.
Fine.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, so I just wanted to briefly shout out 6705, 6705 was it 6340 and not 4026. Oh,
Brian.
Thank you, Brian. I'm sorry.
4509, 6705, and 6023.
Yeah, so I just wanted to briefly.
Jazz from the 80s.
So I wanted to briefly shout them out for this attempt at. We'll turn our audio off here. I just wanted to briefly shout them out for this strategy, this attempt at doing ball starvation, and I think this. Oh, come on. So you'll notice that after Autonomous, what 6705 does is they go and pick up. They're on Blue Alliance. They pick up 2 red cargo here, and they just hold on to those 2 red cargo for the remainder of the match. That means that Red Alliance now, instead of having the normal 11 cargo, have only 9 cargo to play with, right? So I think that was a noble attempt at doing ball starvation, and they're playing defense here. They get knocked 29-74 out a bit. Ultimately, it wasn't successful, but can you imagine?
I think ball
championship.
starvation becomes a thing is if you have 2 robots. If you take 4 balls away, I
So-
think that becomes a fun. Please don't do that, teams.
I think it'd be interesting, but I would also say
Please.
I don't know if it would be like the best strategy, but I do see a world where that could honestly work.
Yeah. I mean, if you're playing defense, do that, right? It's not going to hurt.
If you're playing straight defense, if you're not offense.
But if you're playing a higher ranked seed and you're going to take 2 of your bots and not shoot, I'm not sure that's going to.
Your one shooter better be better than like 2 of the other robots,
But
I
with
think the fun
defense
part
on
with
them.
these strategies is that it's all theory until you can
Yeah.
find a comparable match somewhere out there in the first sphere to say, all right, look at this match where this defensive ball starvation strategy worked out. Otherwise, it's theory and attempting
I would
to
say
apply it.
My theory is that better shooter that's the captain of a lower alliance gets probably picked by a higher alliance.
Yeah, I think a lot of the I think teams have rightly started targeting shooters over climbers
Sure.
in line selection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
And-
I lied. I'm going to play one more brief. Well, this isn't really a brief clip. Just looking at quarterfinals. What was it? Quarterfinal 7. We can just kind of look at the final score here. But
Okay.
in this strategy, the Red Alliance just went for low goals the whole time, right? They shot very few high goals, and
If I remember correctly, I think it was in one of the quarterfinals matches. It seems like Columbus's limelight just goes absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
And that I think there was at one point they were struggling to score low goals because their camera was dragging the turret away from the low goal. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do what you're able to do. I think is the key part there.
I just want to say I think this is the official death knell of the low goal strategy being viable in eliminations. This is what the they had 8 high goals and 12 low goals versus 13 high goals and 1 low goal. But Blue Alliance still wound up winning this match just from
They got the climb
amount of-
game.
Yeah.
Time game.
So, what might be interesting is that might be viable when you start getting the states, because that 7 and 8 seed could have 3 scorers.
That's what I'm most excited about for
Yeah.
states is the depth of that event. And yeah, what you're going to have available for the second and third bots for those lower seed alliances. We're going to see
I
some more
think
testing
still,
of
I
those high
think
seeds.
I think the Auton gap is just too big. I think the stranglehold of the 5 balls being in the top. I think with what 3 teams has shown it being 41-88 somewhat inconsistently, but then 87-36 and 17-71s being basically money. I think that is
Cash money.
I think that's similar to 254's 4 cube in 2018. Like
Yeah.
you got that. That's the ace in the hole.
Or 11-14's 2008.
Ooh,
That-
I forgot about that. You're right.
That
I
was
was-
what actually put us onto the autonomous, because when I looked at this, I said, this is 2008 level of scoring difference, because 2008 was the same way, where autonomous was so highly prioritized. 11-14 could disable their robot after 15 seconds and win most matches they played in.
True.
So I will counter that though, if it's a fairly easier, not simple, an easier advanced autonomy would be basically drive straight to human player station, carry your 1, pick the 1 up in the middle, get the 1 by the human player station, plus they throw 1 in, right? So that's 4.
I think in
Hold on,
elims,
hold
I
on.
think in elims you should
Hold on.
stop throwing.
Yes, but all I need is another bot to back up and grab the 1 by the hangar and get 2. You got 6.
Right.
And you don't need to have a 6 ball all the time to do that. So we can match you in doing that.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting issue to have of everyone is good. It's similar to what the Texas, if anybody remembers watching the Texas elims in their first ever state championship, or what happens in Michigan every year. I think it's a very, very fun thing.
I think one of the things you said comes down to is there's 2 things you're building your robot for. The first is you have to win your quals matches.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 there are 2 distinct goals, and that's a lot of things. I think a lot of teams don't understand that. You have to design your robot one way to be able to win and rank first, and then it's a completely different game in eliminations.
But it's not just building the robot, it's also the meta that you understand in general. Which, that's the thing. You also have to think, I'm always a proponent, you have to understand the district events that you're playing in. And especially Dalton, you knew from the get-go, it was a very, 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 very heavy event with a lot of teams, with a lot of experience. Even though, like we said, a lot of them were rookies, a lot of them had mentors that were mainstays that helped to keep that going. And then when you saw at Columbus, and even a little bit with Carrollton, it was definitely a lot more top tier teams, but you saw there was definitely teams that they may have good robots that would work, but in general, their mindset is not about it's not just about winning the event, it's about how you win the district. Because at the end of the day, yes, you do have to win your qualification matches, but you have to understand why winning your qualification matches is important for you to get to state, especially with a diminished capacity at this point, going down from the 40 plus now down to
32.
Exactly.
Yes, 32
So the line of that bubble, especially right now as we've looked at the points, you have one more event with Albany. There are a lot of teams on that bubble, and like we've even talked about in the last couple minutes, that event is going to be so deep. But because that event is going to be so deep, it means Albany is going to be very important for every single team that goes there.
There are going to be a lot of teams where it's going to be very worthwhile just to go all in on quals.
I think that would be a great segue into our Albany event, but I got to show one more thing. This is the most comical qualification match I've ever seen.
Me and Kyle will respectfully refrain from any comments.
So this is Carrollton qualification match 17, right? For those of you who are listening, you have to go and watch this at double speed. So let's start with. Blue Alliance only has 2 robots out there. Red Alliance has their full 3. So that's already it's a 3v2 match. Autonomous happens. I'm going to fast forward a little bit.
Was Carrollton even a real event? I don't know if it was
Here,
a real event. I would like to state that
Is that 8761 over there?
No, that's not 8761.
Yeah, the red robot.
I don't know.
So if you look, they're about to get into a collision here, and there goes the battery. So now we have one dead red robot. Right, so now it's 2v2. Match is going on, yada yada yada. Then we have a red robot die on the field, and the blue robots are now going for the hang. And there's more than a minute left in the match. 1648's already up on the mid bar and just standing there.
Red robot comes back to life briefly. They're working at it.
But I think the other blue robot's also going for the climb right now. So now all the blue robots are off the field with more than 30 seconds left. So it's just 2 red robots playing. I think 5219 here loses track of where their robot is or something because they just stopped moving. And they're in the blind spot. So now we have 10 seconds left, and I think the icing on the cake is about to come. There it is. So let's describe what's going on. With a couple seconds left, Walton gets the ranking RP, 2974. And they go at full speed. As soon as the buzzer stops, their robot stops and it slowly tips over. So you have a tipped over robot, a robot with a battery out of it, a robot that wasn't visible from the human player station, and 2 blue robots just hanging there for that whole match. It was just a great encapsulation.
I think that creates a great segue into congratulating our chairmans and EI winners. Congratulations in that sense to Walton for winning the chairman's award at this event, as well as to 6340 for winning EI. We had 8849 win the Rookie All-Star Award. They've got a crazy season thus far for a rookie. I think they've won an event. They've been a finalist. I think it was a Rookie Inspiration, Rookie All-Star.
Is the match done?
Yes.
Yeah, you can come out now.
Listen, we were not involved. We would like that on the record.
We love Walton now.
Yes, exactly.
All Walton hate is over.
The beef is done. We are good.
We
are good.
What was that I heard you talking about? Paper mache?
No, I didn't. No. Listen, that's old stuff. That's old stuff. Okay.
That is a quality intake you just threw.
So very durable. It is still in one piece.
Yeah.
Exactly. Listen, they made great intakes. Was I not? Ow. Ow. Listen. Ow. Okay. Listen. Was I wrong? Okay. Listen, they made a great intake for this year. I've seen no problems with their intake whatsoever. Okay.
They
now, I'm not
even
saying
did
this
2 quality intakes this year.
Exactly. 2 quality intakes. Okay.
2974, we love you. That was just really funny. You
guys
guys have a great robot.
And the reality is, more than likely what happened was, when they got disabled at time equals 0, they basically...
Walton did not fall. Walton falling is not haha funny meme.
Hold on.
Right. So they were... I think the speculation is they're basically ramping down their motors as they're getting ready to end the match. You get disabled at t equals 0, and that ramping becomes locked wheels, and they tip, right? So
Yeah.
the good news is they have the code and they do it right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, here's the thing. First time, it was funny. Second time, no, it's not funny. No,
Walton
no more
falling
funny.
is never funny.
It's not funny.
Walton
It was nice to see it was a soft fall and that they came
Exactly.
back.
See, like even like when it happened before, I think it was like what 2018, 2017,
2016.
2016.
They won state upside down.
Exactly. Listen, they won. They won that way. Like, I can't even be mad. They won that way. So listen, it happened a second time. It's okay. We're good. Okay?
Walton, good job.
I'm here so I won't get fined.
We're proud of you.
So,
All right.
but that being said, they did start really excelling during the middle of Carrollton, and they started going up the rankings.
They were
like
a
12,
part of the
and they
two
started-
highest scoring matches
Right.
at the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
They got
why.
their stuff together.
And I still think, even
Dark
right
Horse
now,
State.
Yeah.
I still think at the end of the day, even right now, like like we said, they're going to be at state, and I guarantee you that 2974 is going to be ready to go for a battle in elimination at state.
Yeah, like we said earlier in the season, I think don't expect that teams are going to stay stagnant, and that if you're improving, that you're improving against the field. The field's definitely moving.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
definitely improving.
Yeah.
So
Well, let's
keep your foot on the gas.
I think this will be, now we can segue into talking about Albany, our final district event of the district season. So let's talk about who we've got here. What are we doing? I know Brian is competing with 6829. We're
Ignite
competing
Robotics.
with
Auto robotics.
Let's talk Albany.
Any big storylines heading into Albany? I know it's the last district event.
Bubble team.
Yep.
Especially like this, if we look at the top part of this, what is it called, of our roster here,
district
there
rankings.
are a lot of teams that are trying to make their final bits of noise for this season, especially with going into those 32 spots right now.
Yep, teams that are on the bubble right now: 5109, 6829, 4701, 5636, 8100, 6023, 3344, and 1746. Like, you guys, it's going to be a tough road to get it to state. And teams that have competed at two events need to be watching this match carefully, because it's out of your hands at this point. What other people do is going to influence whether or not you go to state. Just because right now, if I'm 60-23, I'm scared.
Well, let's look here. So if we go back up to the top of the rankings here, right? So right now, majority of the people that are there.
I think if you're above if you're at 18 or up, I think you're locked in. I think you're safe for state. 6919 is already effectively qualified for state, just up one competition. Same with 1261 and 1414. I think the danger becomes once you're looking at ranks 22 to 32, those bottom 10 teams, it's going to be a very, very close race to see who gets to state.
Especially if they've already played both events. Like, you got 36-35 here, who's only played one event, and they had 46 points. They can move up. So can all these teams. Ignite, 4701. They're going to be moving up because they only have...
But I think the bigger issue is at 33-44, can and will move up. 1746 can and will move up. At 39, 8815 can and will move up. I think that's where, like I said, you are starting to get worried. I think the magic number is somewhere in the 50s.
I think it's in the 50s, but what I would honestly say, even right now, I would even say we're talking bubble teams, especially like we're looking at the point totals that what they were able to get off their first qualifier. So if we look at, let's say, 1746, we look at 6925. If you look at a lot of those teams even showing up right there, if they're able to somewhat duplicate what they were able to do at their first district event, like I would say people that are right now starting 22 down need to be watching. Yeah. Or realistically, 22 down, if you've already been at your second event, watch. If you're going to your second event, you need to play.
Play lights out.
And you can't drop. And that's why it's important. So, I mean,
rank high, get picked high, and once you get into elims, fight like hell to stay there.
Basically.
Just like whatever gets you district points.
Yeah.
District points, ranking points get you district points, seeding high gets you district points.
Safety award gets you 5 district points. Every award gets you 5 district points. Fun fact, the safety award is the only award that you can win another award with it.
Is there still a safety award this year?
I don't think there is.
Oh no. Well,
they got rid
sorry
of
teams, no more safety award.
No more double dipping. Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, let's be honest. With this last event being Albany, I do, 69-19 already with 72 points. Like, this is their event. This is their hometown event. I expect them to come out swinging for this event. You saw it going in, I believe they were at Columbus. Like, they have the juice. They got the juice to be able to go lights out at Albany and make some noise.
That's where I think outside of 69-19, this is a redemption event for a few teams. I know 14-14 has a robot with all the capabilities. They just got to put the pieces together to put out a full performance. They got the finals at Columbus, but still got some pieces.
1746 and 4188, or 1746 and 6829 have some bones to pick, but
but I would also say some of the other teams that I do kind of want to highlight a little bit as well going into this next event. First off, if we're going down the list, I would definitely say 1261 and 1683. They had they've had some strong showings. They had strong showings at their last events. I think, especially with 1683, you saw the glimpses of just great engineering with their robot, and I think even great gameplay. And so I feel like they've had a good amount of time between Dalton being the first event and this last event being Albany, that they're going to be able to figure a lot of their stuff out, and they will be a solid contender, I think, within possibly a number 2 or number 3 alliance captain spot.
I'm really curious to see how 3635 and 4701 improve.
4701 was brilliant.
I think they're the two of the wild cards at this event, because with 1414 we know that they have all the capabilities with their traversal, high shooting. They displayed that. 1261, great shooter. We know with you guys Ignite, you've been working on some improvements. 6919 was one of the top robots at Columbus, but I feel like 3635 and 4701 just had so much room for improvement, and that they're going to come out and they're going to swing with the top teams out there in terms of cargo scoring.
I definitely believe so. They know how to play. They know how to play the quals.
And did you want to say something, Brian?
Yeah, I was about to say, going into going into Albany, there are 8 teams in their previous competition that ranked in the top 10. So there might be, there might be a favorite, but there is a strong pack that's right there. And with the way teams are making improvements, we saw at Carrollton, you can look at week 1 and week 2, but we don't know what's going to be coming out there.
This is a whole new game.
I would almost argue that while Carrollton was a very top-heavy team with you guys, Mechanisms, Columbus, Albany is a deeper event.
I think I think it's more of a bell curve where there's a lot of teams clustered in that middle tier.
Yeah, it's much deeper. There's more depth. There's maybe the high end. We don't have 1771, 8736 there. We certainly have 6919 who have a multi-ball autoc.
Exactly.
And some other teams, 1414's probably been working on one.
They have.
Yeah. So there are 7 teams that average in the first event over 30 points a match, and that's usually winning. Now, of those 8 teams that are going to Dalton that ranked in the top 10, that doesn't include 1746 because they ranked 12th or 13th, right? So
15th.
Okay, there you go. So there's going to be a lot of parity and firepower. Is who can iterate, which is the fun part about this season with no bag, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think Albany's going to have the most exciting playoffs of the district season, just with that amount of depth.
It's not going to be exciting. It's going to be stressful.
It's going to be exciting for people to watch. It's going to be exciting for us, even though it's going to be stressful for us.
It's going to be stressful.
It's going to be something to tune into. It's going to be more. I think it's going to be more of a preview of the district championship than Carrollton was.
I think, at least speaking for 1746, I'm happier with where we're at for this event, just because most of the effort we still have yet to be made is programmatic, that we're not going to be stressed as much in the pits, trying to hand off time between mechanical and programming. It'll be interesting to see. We'll be obviously keeping our eyes glued to standings the entire event, just to see who's actively getting RP from match to match, who's winning their matches. What are the key matchups from the event, and somebody's going to come away with a loss, but are they still getting any RP from it? But yeah, I think For me, the thing I'm most excited for is state champs and the depth of that event. I think we're ready
With
for
32 teams, I think there's a capacity for a team to average 4 RP in the event.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting event. Number one, because quals are going to be that much more competitive.
Yes.
But number two, because the depth of the elims
is going
and
to
alliance
be
selection.
crazy.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
So going from there, so we gotta land this plane. No pun intended. Yeah, same. Let's talk really quick. We've already talked about teams that we think are going to make this event interesting. Chairmans. Any chairman's contenders we're seeing?
1683.
Ooh, very good choice.
69-19.
69-19. Albany hometown team. The Albany
I think
district.
they've done a lot too. I think Albany is going to become a lot how like the Johnson Creek, Gwinnett County area has become a hub with like 2974, 1771, like that crew. 6829. I think Albany is going to be a nice little hub of teams with RoboBib and.
Outside Atlanta, Albany has the most number of teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had one of the most comprehensive programs as well to build out those teams, because a lot of things that we see with First a lot of times, unfortunately, is sustainability for a team is not really focused on. It's really like, hey, let's make as many teams as possible, but the goal is we need these teams to stay in these communities. We need these teams to be around for a long time, not just for a good time.
I think we noticed some excitement. It started, I don't know exactly when it started, but 2019 was particularly exciting for seeing a handful of everybots pop up and be like, what's going on here? Where did this come from? But it was notable that
The
several
Albany
of them
area, yeah.
were from the Albany area.
Right.
But I think it's an exciting thing they've got going on there, and they're making good decisions with the resources
Yeah,
they
they
have.
started out with the Everybots, and I think they've only improved from there.
Exactly. So, I mean, at this point, we've gone through everything for every single one of these district events. Is there anything that we want to say before this last event happens?
I would like to gratefully accept the ending of this podcast.
I would like to also gratefully accept the ending of this podcast. I would also like to gratefully thank Walton for not putting me on a hit list. Thank you.
Also, teams, if you want to decline, I got a tip for you. Respectfully decline. Huh?
That sounds great.
Respectfully decline.
Yes, good. I like it. Great.
Any final thoughts here, Kellen?
Chris, this all-star robot you've got, do you have any concerns about a wood robot holding up for an entire season?
You just had to bring that up.
Yeah. See? Yeah. I like that.
No.
I always have
on the wood.
Hey, Team Auto,
no.
they
It
have
has
a
to be
wood
bought
robot.
wood.
It's
required-
doable.
It's required by the students that you have to have bought wood nearby at all times, because otherwise, it just doesn't do unless you hit on bought wood. That's why the bot's made of wood.
Smart.
Yeah. To my students, we can build a wood robot. It's okay. We don't have to be afraid.
PSA,
They're robust.
I am wearing the cat ears. I would like the students on 1771 to know I'm wearing the cat ears.
1771. Ad from Otto. We would like to know. We love you very much, and we think it would be cool at
get out of
state.
Get out of here. We'll make our own destiny.
So I'll say this. If you think about coming out of COVID with very rookie teams and how this game is played, it's impressive how teams have actually iterated and gotten better.
I'm excited for
this
next
whole
year.
season.
I think moving forward, this is going to be a great foundation for the whole district to build on, and it's just going to get better
Exactly.
from here on out.
Yep, very excited for next week's show to dive into a preview for district championships.
We're gonna get. It's gonna get very spicy. Very spicy.
There's significant improvement within the reach of every single team. You can look at any of them, look at them and go, well, you can see where they're headed, and I think states are going to be very, very exciting.
Woo! Well,
One more thought. I really, really, really want to play with 69-19 at an event. We have never gotten to do that, and I really, really want to in playoffs. If we're not playing with you, Brian.
If you pick us.
I know a guy. Listen,
Listen, I know a guy. He'll probably say no, but I know a guy.
All right. With that being said, we gratefully accept that you guys watched this. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Goodbye.
Peace.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.